So Taleb says that the future consists of a range of possibilities with the outcome significantly influenced by randomness. And Galbraith says that forecasting is futile. And Ellis says that if the game isn't controllable, it's better to work to avoid losers than to try for winners. And Milken says that holding survivors and avoiding defaults is the key in bond investing. So if you put them all together, that's how you get the philosophy that's in the book. These were my origins. So when we started Oaktree, April the 10th of 1995, almost exactly 20 years ago, we wrote down our investment philosophy, and here it is. We published it. We were a bunch of guys who had been working together for most of the previous 10 years at a different employer. And we left there as a group, and we started Oaktree. And so for a philosophy, so I believe in writing things down, and like learning at the Lou says today, write them down, right? So we wrote down our philosophy. We published it. We'd never changed a word since. And the clients like knowing what our roadmap is. So these were the 6 tenets of the investment philosophy. So the first one says that the most important thing is risk control. And we tell the clients, we think that for excellence in investing, the most important thing is not making a lot of money. It's not beating the market. It's not being in the top quartile. The most important thing is controlling risk. That's our job. That's what we'll do for you. And the clients come to us who want to invest in our asset classes with the risks under control. There are other people who put less emphasis on controlling risk, and they have better results in the good times and worse results in the bad times. Our clients want what we give them. Number 2, we have an emphasis on consistency. So we say we don't try for the moon at the danger of crashing. You know, the first memo that I wrote in 1990, I'm sure you remember that, Rob, talked about a guy who was head of an asset manager that had a terrible year. And he said, well, it's very simple. If you want to be in the top 5% of money managers, you have to be willing to be in the bottom. I have no interest in being in the bottom 5%. I don't care about being in the top 5%. I want to be above the middle on a consistent basis over the long term. And there's a funny bit of math. This will confound the, what'd you call yourself, data scientists? This will confound the data scientists in the room. So in that first memo, I contrasted the comments from that money manager with a comment from one of my clients who told me, right about the same time, it was the juxtaposition that caused me to write that first memo. He told me that for the previous 14 years, his pension fund had never been above the 27th percentile or below the 47th percentile. So it was solidly in the second quartile every year for 14 years. So let's see, 27, 47, the average of that is 37, right? What percentile do you think that fund was in for the whole 14 years? 4. And if you think about it, it's really almost mysterious. Why the 4th, not the 37th? And the answer is that when people blow up, they really blow up. And so we said we want consistency. We want to be a little bit above the middle all the time. Maybe we'll pop up to the top in the years when the markets are terrible and our risk control is rewarded. But we think that over a long period of time, we'll be very respectable that way. And our clients will have an absence of bad experiences, which I think for them is very important. So then, macro forecasting is not critical to investing. We do not make our decisions based on macro forecasts, as I explained to you. We all have opinions. Our official dictum is that it's okay to have an opinion. You just shouldn't act as if it's right. And I think this is very important. You know, Mark Twain said, it's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for certain that just ain't true. And so we try to avoid holding strongly to those macro opinions. And finally, we don't do a lot of market timing, which is very, very hard to do. We do long-term investing in assets that we think are underpriced. So that's the Oaktree philosophy. You can see how the origins and inspirations that I went through fed into that. And in fact, it's all distilled in our motto, which says that if we avoid the losers, the winners take care of themselves. And if we can make a large number of investors and just weed out the problems, then we'll have, just think of the bell-shaped curve. We'll have a lot that do okay and an occasional one which is exceptional if we can weed these out. So a lot of money managers go into the clients and say, we will get you in the top quartile, into the great right-hand tail. I think it's hard to do. on a consistent basis. And if you aim for the right-hand tail and you miss, you end up in the left-hand tail. What we say is we'll just lop off the left-hand tail. And if we can do that successfully, and we pretty much have, then what'll you have? Okay, good, very good, great, terrific, but no terrible. The average will be very good. And that's basically what we've had. So lastly, I'll just leave you with what I consider my three greatest adages, not mine, but the ones I've encountered over my career and that have been the most helpful. And they're all used in the book. First of all, what the wise man does in the beginning, the fool does in the end. In every trend in investing, it eventually becomes overdone. If you find an asset which is cheap and buy it, that's great. If everybody else figures it out that it's cheap, then it'll go up. Then people see that it's rising and more people jump on the bandwagon, goes up, up, up. And the last person to buy it is a fool. And the first person to buy it is a wise man. It's the same asset, just at different prices. And as people say, first the innovator, then the imitator, then the idiot. So that's another way to look at this adage. Number two, never forget the 6-foot-tall man who drowned crossing the stream that was 5 feet deep on average. Kind of like that skydiver who's right 98% of the time. It's not sufficient, depending on how you want to live your life, to survive on average. We have to survive on the bad days. So we have to be able to survive the low spots in the stream. Your portfolio has to be set up to survive on the bad days, so you won't be shaken out of your investments. And then finally, being too far ahead of your time is indistinguishable from being wrong. And yet that's a great challenge because, as I said before, the things that are supposed to happen will not necessarily happen, and they absolutely will not happen on time. So you have to be able to live until the wisdom of your decisions is proved, if at all. So all of these things, I think, say something about modesty and humility of belief rather than cocksureness, which I think is the greatest risk. So with that, Saurabh, I'll stop talking, and we have a little time left, and I'd love to take your questions. That's what I'm here for.
And there you have it. This was the third and final part of Howard Marks' extraordinary lecture, a complete masterclass in risk, patience, and the mental framework required to survive in the markets. Throughout this final segment, Marx distills decades of experience into a clear and timeless philosophy. He shows how the insights of thinkers like Taleb, Galbraith, Ellis, and Milken shaped the principles behind Oak Tree Capital, a firm built not on bold predictions, but on discipline, humility, and consistent execution. At the core of his message is a quiet but powerful truth. Great investing isn't about brilliance, timing, or forecasting the future. It's about avoiding the big mistakes, protecting against the downside, and staying in the game long enough for your good decisions to bear fruit. As he says, if you simply remove the losers, the winners tend to take care of themselves. And in a world that constantly rewards boldness and speed, his timeless adages offer a much-needed counterpoint, a reminder to slow down, stay grounded, and think clearly. As he puts it, what the wise man does in the beginning, the fool does in the end. Or, you have to survive the low spots in the stream. And perhaps most humbling of all, being too early is indistinguishable from being wrong. These aren't just clever lines, they are survival strategies for investors who want to last. But we're not finished just yet. In the next videos, we'll bring you Howard Marks' responses to questions from the audience, spontaneous, honest, and filled with the same clarity and depth that defined every minute of this talk. Please stick around, you won't want to miss it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you found the content helpful or engaging, please give it a like, as this helps the video reach more traders like you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest insights on the markets and practical trading strategies. Sharing this video with your friends or on your social networks can make a big difference and helps our community become stronger. Now, if you want to go even deeper and get access to exclusive content, early video releases, and extra tools to support your journey, consider becoming a member of the Lucro Trader community right here on YouTube. It's a way to support our work and a smart investment in your own development. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.